What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for a match reaction for a game that doesn't really mean that much. We won 8-0 against the under 23s, or actually the new under 23s, because we took every single player out of that under 23s. So they are in a complete rebuild at this moment in time. Actually, it's the game they usually played at Villa Perosa. It's this year was it at the stadium 8-0, and there are some things to comment about, especially up front. So we're gonna talk about that as well. If people did watch the game, obviously, it's not our last preseason game, if you want to call it the real preseason game. We play Saturday against Atalanta in Cesena. I will do a watch along for that, so join me. That will be the actual last preseason game, and I think that will be the most important test because you are 1 week away from the season and you play against a team you're going to face twice and you struggle against a lot of the times in the last, I don't know, 4 to 5 years. So I think that's going to be a very good test to see at what stage we are going into Udinese in a week and a few days from now. Before I do that, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, hit that bell notification, and let's go. Okay, so I'm not gonna talk about the result because that doesn't really matter. Just some things that happened in the game. First off, Vlahovic, not even his goals. Like that's not the point. The point is that I think the fans who are in the stadium made it very clear to the club what their feelings are. The club is not going to listen, and I will say maybe I will say something controversial here. The club should not listen to the fans in this case. Like the club should be smart enough to do the right thing. That's all I'm saying. If every time, like, I have feelings, we all, and I don't like that player. I don't want Sandro at the club. I don't want Danilo as a captain, or I don't think he's good enough. You might think whatever. The club should not react on what the fans want whilst they're building a squad. They should have a clear plan, a clear idea, and do it no matter what. I think that's my issue. I don't like Lukaku. I don't see the future with Lukaku. That's my issue. It's bigger than selling Vlahovic. Is what are we gonna do when we sell Vlahovic? That's my issue. So the club heard it because everybody was there. They don't care. Like I'll put that out there. You can take that to the bank. They absolutely do not care if the fans said we don't want Lukaku. Whatever it is, what it is. So I thought that kind of stood out. His goals, no matter what. Like he could have scored 0 goals. That was not the point of what happened basically in that game. So that's that. Other things I want to discuss is Keane. He looks laser sharp. Like he looks really really good. All preseason actually looks on point. He looks hungry. He looks more clean on the ball, if I need to call it that. It's preseason. He can turn to a pumpkin at Udinese. Who knows? Like the chances are most likely yes than no. Based on his last 2 seasons. But he's gonna play. He's gonna play quite a lot this season, especially. So he better perform. We paid a lot of money for him, too much money. I will put out that immediately. We overpaid for him, so that's not on him, by the way. That's not on Keane, but the performances are not there, and it's not good enough. Like we need to be completely honest. So he needs to do better. It's 2 seasons he's performing below par, in my opinion. But he looks very sharp. Like it needs to be said. All preseason, in my opinion, compared to the previous preseasons, he does. So, is that a good sign? Yes. Will it translate in having a good season, being impactful? We don't know. We just need to see and wait at this point. Other things that stood out of that game, in my opinion, is that especially in going on the first half, Nicolucci, he looks very good. Actually, he looked good every preseason. He was one of the best talents we had in our academy. If we had an under 23s, we would have hyped him up a lot more. But the injuries and all those things, and I said something on my video. I said he's not good enough. What I mean with he's not good enough, I don't believe he's good enough in the eyes of Allegri to get a chance. I don't want him to stay to be sixth option and play 350 minutes all season. Like that's complete pointless for us and especially for him after injuries and everything he went through, he needs to play. Sanitana, I don't think that's a good option. I don't think that's a good option for every single player as of now, unless they're selling a bunch of players. Um, but I think if he leaves now, it's done. I don't think he will ever play for the club. He will be back on loan, whatever, but we will sell him along the way. There are developments. Rovella could leave to Lazio. I will talk about that in the live, so I'm not going to discuss that now. Miretti could leave on loan, so maybe there is an option there for Nicolucci to stay, as we're not really linked with a midfielder. Yes, Amrabat, but I struggle to believe that at this moment in time. So that's what I mean with Nicolucci, but he looks very good. And actually, he was one of the best talents we had a few years back. And then the injuries, all those things, like he had no luck. Um, but he looked very good even today. So shout out to him as well. The winter play, he had nothing to do in that first, like we were strolling through that game. So he's probably going to leave. The second half was much better because we've seen different things, like on the ball, between the lines, it was good. Yildiz looks very tidy on the ball. He looks very, very good, calm, in control. Very interesting because he can play. Okay, for me, he's a winger, but he's been played in midfield this preseason, and he has done well. You know, not the Milan game, he struggled a bit because first time, but overall, he's done well in my opinion. I think he's very good on the ball. You know, I do like he has an eye for goal, obviously, but when you play him further ahead, I prefer not to, but he's good. Like he can play on the ball, and you know that's very good. Other shout out, Hoyson. I think if you see him play Hoyson, I don't want to put too much pressure on it, but he looks extremely talented. He does, like in possession, so clean, positioning wise, very good. Like actually, for his age, unbelievable. If I might say, like that's something I thought you learn, you know, with age. But he knows it. He feels where he needs to be. He can score goals. He's always at the right time. It seems. He still needs a bulk up, but so did Dybala when he joined. You know, to take that next step. That will come. But he looks like a player. You know, Bonucci is out of the club. You're selling the winter. Do you trust Rugani? Like, if we have injuries, I trust him to come in and do a job. You know, I do. You know, he will make mistakes, obviously, but he looks very good. Like, he is probably the best talent we have. If you say under 23s, not first team as of now, he is. You know, because he's just, I think he's naturally gifted. You know, and at that point, you're already a step ahead of anyone else. Like, anything you can add to that is just added value basically, but he has the talent, the base. He's extremely good in my opinion. So that said, Kayo, happy for him. You know, he had a horrible injury, like terrible, for playing a meaningless game for the under 23s. Happy for him. He looked happy. He looked extremely happy. Post game, he said, "I want to stay, not go on loan." He will probably go on loan, but you know, he's not a bad player. Like you can see, I'm not going to say keep him based on a preseason game, whatever. He needs to play. Like he hasn't played for a season. He needs to go on loan and play regularly. He's good on possession. He has a great shot on him. I think we saw that against Torino when he came on, if people remember that 50 minutes. But he needs to go and play regular football. Like for his own good, do that. And I think that will happen as well. But overall, yeah, Junior, I think Junior looks who Junior is. Like he's good. Sule looks good, looked good. But, you know, you cannot take much from this game. Just individually, it all looked good for certain players. And now let's see. Going into the Atalanta game, that's the game that really matters to see if we are ready for next Sunday. So let's see how that will go. I don't believe we're ready. If you look at the team, it's the same team besides Weah. So I don't even, like, I cannot say we are better. We are not better. Like, other teams improved. We haven't improved. So let's see how it will go. But that's that for today. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of the game if you watched it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join me later for the live.